Hey Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune, and we're going over a new hero and a rerun banner coming out in just a little bit, Politis and Ran. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and check me at Twitch at twitch.tv/WildNeptune. Let's get going. We will start with Politis, as she is a rerun. This is my Politis, see your stats right here. This is a typical build. Her usage, well, comes from her S2. You see, if an enemy uses a non-attack skill, she will counter with this skill. It's an AoE. It increases her CR by 30%. It also makes it so that the enemy gains less CR. The S2 will also decrease buff durations by 1 turn on the enemy team on an AoE, which is pretty nice. A lot of the times now, people will use her going into a AOL. So AOL will use S3. Politis will use her S2 because AOL's S3 is a non-attack skill. They will burn because with the book, the S1, which has a chance to stun sometimes, and then they will S3, which has an AoE, decreased hit chance, and unbuffable for 2 turns, which is pretty good. Now, Politis, I'm sure you've seen her on defense teams. She is very strong in World Arena right now, to the point where if you are serious about climbing, she's kind of a must-pull, as she is pretty much all-purpose, as every playstyle can use Politis. That being said, she is a harder hero to use for her power level, as in, you just can't use her whenever you want to, even when it looks like it might be decent. You definitely have to plan around having her on your team, because sometimes it won't do enough damage, sometimes they can maybe just play around her. Also, things like Bellion are pretty bad for her too, so do keep that in mind also. But if you don't have Politis, I would recommend, if you're serious about World Arena, that you try to get her. And here we have the new hero coming out, Ran. You see he's a ice thief. He's really fast, 129 speed. I believe this is tied for the highest speed in the game now. He has decent attack at 1100. His bulk doesn't matter. And he has a crit chance awakening here, attack concentration. So, going over his skills, where I think will be good, any counterplays he has them, and dissect why his kit might be the way it is. His skill 1 is called Tempest. It attacks all enemies with a Sword Storm, penetrates the Karzac's defense by 20%, damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's mass speed. So, just a 20% damage pen on a single target attack. Not bad. Kind of boring, but, you know, effective. Mental Focus is a skill 2. It is on a 4-turn cooldown, but it might as well be 3 turns, because what it does, grants immunity to all allies for 2 turns. Okay, that's good. Increasing the attack. He already has high attack, so that's also good. For 2 turns. Just for him, though, not everybody. And grants the extra turn to the caster. So keep in mind that this is without souls, so he just gets an attack buff by himself, gives immunity to his team, and gets an extra turn. Right? That's really good, because the immunity for 2 turns means that Politis will not strip off the immunity. At the most, she will just make it go down 1 tick. And most Politises, basically all of them, are being run on book because of AOL. And even if she's on Violin, I'm pretty sure that the immunity will block the strip on Violin, so he'll keep the attack buff, I think. I'll have to see it for sure to know, but I think that's how it works. What else it does too is if somebody's running the Tech T-Certain, so the one that is super fast, it's running the Selene artifact, Secret Arts Sword Storm, I believe it's called, then she can't silence anybody, right? And there's a pretty And that build doesn't always get the kill on an S3, right? So there is also some tech against that too. This, and also Bellion, he doesn't need souls, so Bellion doesn't do anything. On top of that, because he gives immunity, even if Bellion counters, well, at the most, she'll counter and take off the first set of immunity, right? But does that really matter when you go into his S3? And his S3, Instant Blade, attacks all enemies with a sword, dispelling 2 buffs before a 80% 100 molars, in chance to inflict stigma, so a debuff that was introduced with the new 3 stars a little while ago, and a 65 85 molars, chance to decrease defense for 2 turns. So it's an AoE, damage, decreased defense, and stigma. Also grants some skill nullifier, just for the heck of it. And of course, damage will increase proportional to the caster's and the target speed. So, the faster his enemy is, apparently, the more damage he does too. Which is pretty nuts, because one of the only real ways I think you can contend with this is by having somebody who is a little bit slower than he is. Because there's probably no way that most players will outspeed Ran. But just in case you forgot what Stigma does, though, decreases the amount recovered and CR readiness by 50%. So this is also really good against anybody who might want to push themselves up to try to counter him too. So he seems really tuned to fight a lot of the current anti-cleave units that are in the game. Now, there are some things that are admittedly probably pretty good against him. Green Violet comes to mind. He seems to be decent, as he'll most likely dodge his skills. He'll get a counterattack, right? And everything. Something like Rem might be kind of annoying for him too, as he does lack a can't be countered on his S3, which does mean counterattacks are active, right? But in terms of just like bulking up and doing something, I don't know if that's really a thing that you'll be able to do against him. And he's just, again, really good against a lot of the anti-cleave because of his dispel. Like, things like Bryceria aren't as good against him because of his S2. Things like T-Surin aren't that good against him. I think maybe stuff like Holiday Fiend could be decent. So maybe we draft like HU Fiend, a Carmen, something like a Rem, and like a pretty fast unit, maybe to try to get in before his follow-up can happen, right? Maybe that could be a thing too. But I'm talking about drafting a team to deal with one unit that is being used. Because his kit is obviously designed to make it so that Cleave has answers to things that were quote-unquote hurting Cleave. It's like, the reason why they have to make such busted anti-cleave units is because of the nature of how gearing works. Ran is a unit that at the top level, only like 20%, maybe not even that many people, will be able to use him to like a high effectiveness, right? Simply due to how speed gear works, right? And in a cleave meta, those like few people will always have a huge advantage, no matter what. Which is why units that can just stand there and not do anything and be good against cleave exist because of stuff like this, right? I have thought too on if I think he'd be good in not cleave, and I didn't even notice here that the Soul Brand ignores ER, but I actually don't know how often he would use this. But okay, but like even then, like there are a lot of units that could use something like this, and they don't have it, and they give it to him. Anyway, I thought about if he'd be useful in non-cleave, just as like a built-in speed contest for like your team. Like in that case, I still think something like a Sid or something more like that is probably better if you can speed contest, or something like even like a Cerise, maybe. Simply because it's anti-cleave, I feel units like that do a little bit better. That said, his kit is so good. Even if you don't cleave, I would probably pull him. If you had to choose between him and Politis, that's kind of hard. I would lean towards Politis because if you don't cleave, you're probably not going to use him a lot. To be honest with you, he's definitely a cleave unit, right? But remember, units like Straze and stuff are still used by non-cleavers because his kit is so good in certain situations that he's just a force span in some cases. I don't really know if Ran has those force span cases like Straze has, but we'll have to see. Keep in mind too, though, that in a couple of days they are revealing the buff patch notes, and we'll get to see what units are going to get changed. Maybe some units will be changed where they'll be good against cleave or good against Ran in particular. It would not surprise me if that's the case. But again, if I had to choose between the two of them, I would probably pull on Politis if you don't have either of them. But I would also wait to see what the buff patch holds, because who knows, maybe that will change your mind. And that's the video. If you enjoyed it, again, likes and everything are appreciated. Anyway, it's been a good one.